It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Happy to have you along on this Tuesday. 435-339-0321. If you want to chime in, love to hear from you. Your reactions to different things going on in sports today, obviously. NBA playoffs underway. Couple of teams, higher seeded teams, are behind the eight ball here. And who do you think is most likely to come back in their series? And looking at the other games that are going on tonight, the Rookie of the Year award should be handed out today, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, basically same time as yesterday for Most Improved Player, but can't say I'm as optimistic as the Jazz player involved in this award will take it home.
Yeah, so the question for me on this one with Walker Kessler is certainly it'd be a shocker if he wins the Rookie of the Year. But how many where does he finish? Like, how many votes does he get? Because Lauri Markkanen, he was a runaway favorite for Most Improved. There were a few of the other guys got some votes, but Lowry got the lion's share of the votes.
I was actually surprised by how much of a runaway he was, because just anecdotally, as I observed people, there's some people who have a running list of who they think each week is the favorite. NBA has the ladder thing for each of the awards. Who's where on the ladder, and Lauri Markkanen was always up there and sometimes at the top, but it felt like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson spent more time at the top of these individual people's lists. But then by the end of the year, I guess everybody changed their mind. He got just under 70% of the votes. So I was actually kind of surprised by how much of a runaway he was.
Yeah, and the other players that make a good case as to why perhaps they could be considered, and they had to be a finalist for good reason. But will it be similar tonight with the Rookie of the Year? Will it be a runaway for Banchero, or will Walker Kessler give him a run for his money?
I think 90% of the votes for Banchero is the minimum. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets all but a couple of votes. We know at least one vote he's not getting, so 99 is the max.
That's right.
He won't be unanimous, but he'll be pretty close, I think. Because just when you have a guy that scores 20 points per game, it's just so hard for anybody to vote against them. It's happened before. Happened to Donovan Mitchell, actually. But that was because we were in the middle of the era where everyone was falling in love with triple-doubles, and so Ben Simmons was able to win it.
Right.
So, but there's not one of those this year. It's Banchero, and then you have a defensive-centric guy in Walker Kessler, and then you have Jalen Williams, who's just a less productive than Banchero. A guy who's certainly done well for himself this year, but isn't as productive as Banchero in terms of points, so he's not going to win it.
Right, with considering offensive output.
Yeah, he's just taking the same route as Banchero, be the highest-scoring rookie. He's just not the highest-scoring rookie. Kessler's taking a different route to being Rookie of the Year as far as the analytics like him. He was impactful on winning. Obviously, his team did better. A few more double-doubles. Obviously, defense did pretty well, so he's taking a different route, but it's the harder route. He'd have had to have been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate to get any consideration just for Rookie of the Year. That's how much people favor scoring. So they're not going to give it to Walker Kessler, even though I and others have made the argument that he should at least be in consideration, if not get the award.
Do we have all the finalists announced for all the awards?
Yeah, they were all announced a week or so ago.
That was during the play-in tournament, correct?
Yeah. Sometime between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs, they had all the finalists announced. So there's just the top 3 in each one. So and Walker Kessler was obviously in the top 3. If he was excluded from the top 3, then it's like, what the crap are you doing?
Who are the finalists for defensive player?
Oh,
I'm blanking on that.
Brooke Lopez is one of them. I can't think of who the others are. Yeah, I'm completely blanking on the other guys.
We'll have to do some searching
I'll remember
on that.
him when I know I've seen it and looked at it, but yeah, I'm suddenly blanking. All right, let's see. Wait, did they already announce it? Let's see.
Because I've got. Well, it looks like some of them have already been announced, and I've apparently missed them. Brogdon named the Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah, that was the very first one they announced.
Mike Brown is the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and that may have been the first. I can't remember. One of those two was the first announced, but those were the first 2 that got announced.
Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year from Memphis.
Yeah, so it's Jaren Jackson Jr., Brooke Lopez, and Evan Mobley. I guess I completely missed Defensive Player of the Year because I saw when Brogdon was 6th man and when Brown was Coach of the Year. I did not notice Defensive Player of the Year being announced. I guess I was off Twitter that day. I feel like I would have seen that.
I'm looking at the voting totals for Defensive Player, and Rudy Gobert was not even on the list. Walker Kessler was not on the list either. But JJJ, 56 first place votes. Brooke Lopez 31. Evan Mobley got 8. Draymond Green got 3. Bam Adebayo got 1, and then Joel Embiid got 1. You can consider just first place votes specifically.
Yeah, and giving him to Draymond Green, he's not the best player in the NBA anymore. He was for a couple of years, got usurped by Rudy Gobert, a crime for which Draymond Green will never forgive Rudy Gobert, is that he'll forever be known as the second best player of his second best defensive player of his generation. But yeah, this year, I think, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brooke Lopez were certainly the 2 best in terms of what they did. Jackson being a very versatile defender as well as being a rim protector, and Brooke Lopez probably being the best rim protector this season. But Jackson being close to as good a rim protector and a little more versatile probably got him the award. There's a lot of people who, and you saw this pop up with Rudy Gobert, is they focus so much on versatility, and they say you got to be versatile, and that's why they like Draymond Green. That's why they like, people would argue about Bam Adebayo and few other defenders. I think Ben Simmons was this way when when Rudy Gobert and Ben Simmons were kind of going at it for Defensive Player of the Year. People say, oh, he can guard multiple positions, which, yeah, is super valuable. And I think people are voting based on that a little bit more. But I will always go back to the argument that the rim protectors are the single most impactful defenders. Sure, they can't guard multiple people, but when the NBA is taking half their shots at the rim and half their shots at the three-point line, having the guy that can take away those shots at the rim, that's more valuable than the guy who's driving the dribble, the guy who's just guarding the dribble drive player, but will end up switching off.
Looking at just some of the other vote totals, which we haven't done really, just searching for any other Utah Jazz notables. Will Hardy, in Coach of the Year, he got 1 second-place vote, and he got 4 third-place votes.
Yeah, it's about what you'd expect. I think
it's respectable.
Brown was the unanimous, wasn't he?
Yes, Mike Brown was unanimous.
Yeah, that was never going to go any other way.
No, yeah, that was a clear runaway. Clear second-place person was Mark Degenalt at Oklahoma City, and the clear it was pretty close for third place, but Joe Mazzulla at Boston, he came in at number 3.
Yeah, very difficult situation for him, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and still getting the team to a pretty solid place. They're going to be if the Bucks end up going out in round one, they're probably going to be the imminent favorites to be, I guess, them and the 76ers. Probably the top favorites to get to the finals.
Well, yeah, so that kind of leads into the other points of discussion. Just looking at the way these playoffs are right now, and look at the current standings. You've got a couple of teams. Well, one series is already done. The 76ers already swept Brooklyn. You have a couple more chances for teams to advance tonight. You got Boston with a 3-1 series lead over Atlanta. That game's at 5:30 on TNT. Nuggets, they've got a 3-1 series advantage over the Timberwolves. That's 7 o'clock tonight on NBA TV. And then you've got the Suns, who have a 3-1 advantage over the Clippers, and that's the later game, 8 o'clock on TNT. I can't say that I feel bad for the Clippers because I have never liked the Clippers, but it is unfortunate that they have been hit with so many injuries to their stars this time of year. And so it's kind of tough for them to still be in this. Phoenix likely should run away with this when they're favored by 12.5 tonight. Boston's favored by 13. Denver favored by 10. Could be kind of a snoozy night tonight in the NBA as the favored teams return home with the chance to wrap their series up.
Yeah, it could just be a bunch of they're eliminated, and they're eliminated. But, yeah, with the Clippers, it's almost funny because if there's a team that is completely and just categorically obsessed with resting their star players, it's the Clippers. And who is the team that constantly has stars injured in the playoffs? Now, I ain't no doctor or medical expert, but we're at, 3 years now of correlation of rest Kawhi Leonard for 70 games. He gets injured in the playoffs.
Right. Bring him back just before the playoffs to shake off the rust. And
as he's shaking off the rust, he pulls a hammy. I don't know, is there I can't speak in any sort of expertise, but is this just dumb luck or bad luck? But you're not playing any of your players and then they're getting injured. Kawhi Leonard wasn't this fragile for the most of his career until he got to LA. And
he missed a lot of time in San Antonio late, but there was some weird stuff going on in San Antonio.
He just had the one big injury.
Yeah.
I don't think he had any problem in Toronto.
No, he seemed to be pretty healthy and big time contributor for Toronto.
But this seems like a guy who won his championships and now is just I don't got nothing to prove, and I'm just going to cruise the rest of my career and not do anything and just collect a paycheck. Everyone will always pay me a supermax because of what I did before. Not a supermax, but a max contract. Because of what he did before, and then he's going to play 30 games a season. Always give everybody hope. He's going to show off. He's going to, score his 27 a game when he's actually healthy because he's really dang good. But then he's going to disappear in the playoffs. He'll get a minor injury in the playoffs, sit out, you lose a series, you're done. And then the next year, will the Clippers be healthy? I'm picking the Clippers to go all the way because they got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. It's they don't have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in April. They aren't going to have them, so just check the rest of the team and see if the rest of the team can win a championship without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And the answer has been no for most of the time. It's going to be that way. Prove me wrong, Clippers. Prove me wrong that you can actually be healthy in April, and then I'll finally believe you. Until then, always pick against the Clippers.
Sunday there were some really good games in the NBA playoffs. There were some fun, close games. That Warriors-Kings game, one of the highest-rated NBA playoff games in, what was it? What did I see? I think it's for the first round, but one of the highest-rated first-round games in the playoffs in nearly 20 years. It was huge. The Celtics-Hawks game was close. The Timberwolves came back and took care of business and beat Denver in overtime. So close, fun, exciting games on Sunday. Even the Knicks and Cavaliers game was relatively close. A little scoring, but relatively close. And then last night, we had more great close games. Miami comes from behind. Milwaukee has the lead, but Miami, Jimmy Butler goes crazy and scores 56 points, puts the team on his back, and comes from behind and wins that game to take a 3-1 series lead. Then last night, then the late game, Lakers-Grizzlies goes to overtime, a tight back-and-forth game, lots of drama. I mean, the last few nights have been exciting and fun for the NBA. But tonight, it's going to put cold water on all of it. I think, every game is, the home team's favored by double-digit points, and I don't see a path really for any of these teams to upset the road teams to upset the home teams. Yeah, they're going to try to stay alive and stay in it, but I just see momentum, talent, and home court advantage on their side on all of the cases.
There's decent odds that one of the three will pull off a win and end up, forcing a game 6. We could end up having all 3 series end. But, yeah, I think as far as any one of the underdogs winning the series, that's unlikely. I just don't see a path for Atlanta, Minnesota. Minnesota probably has the best chance because at least they're not either broken or injured. In the case of Atlanta and L.A., at least they have
some injuries.
Have
but
not nearly as major as L.A., and Atlanta's just, I don't know what the heck's wrong with Atlanta anymore.
Yeah.
But Minnesota, they've got pretty talented guys. Maybe they could pull it off. Of course, they weren't down 3-0, were they? Or were they down?
They were down 3-0.
They were down 3-0. So I don't think they're going to pull that off anyway. Maybe they could force a game 6, but these series, it's not going to be nearly as exciting because the thing with yesterday's games with Sundays is that they were games that felt like momentum could turn in either direction. With the LA-Memphis game, that was a 2-1, Memphis trying to tie it up as they go home. Well, now it's 3-1 for LA. And, yeah, they're going to go to Memphis. Maybe there's going to be a game 6, but LA's very much got the upper hand in that one. And, Miami, that was huge. Because you think the Bucks, okay, they had to deal with, missing Giannis for a little bit. They can even up the series, and it becomes a 3-game series, and they have home court with Giannis back.
Right.
Well, now they're down 3-1, and that task gets insurmountably harder. And, they give up a comeback. Let Jimmy Butler go off for, 20-plus points in the one quarter, 56 overall. So, yeah, the games were not only exciting games, because any one of these, Atlanta, Boston, Denver, Minnesota, LA, Phoenix, they could be exciting games, but in series that don't feel like they matter anymore because we're all writing them off as over.
Right. So you've got 2 cases here with the number 2 seed down 3-1 in their respective series, both in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. Who do you feel like has the best chance of surviving this, or are both of them on their way out? It's just a matter of time. Can Memphis put their stuff together and come back and reestablish their mojo against the Lakers and advance? Or do you feel like Milwaukee has a better chance of doing that against Miami? Or for both of them, is it they missed their shot and it's just a matter of time before their series is over and they're eliminated?
I think the Bucks mainly just because I feel like they're a more veteran team and they don't have the same feeling as Memphis does, where Memphis feels like they're just falling to pieces. They mentally, it feels like they're breaking. They have guys who have been talking smack all season, guys who have been acting like they're the bee's knees. I mean, there's the clip that's been going around today and was last night about Ja Morant, where somebody asked him about, what's the team in the playoffs? Like, that's the team we're going to have to play and go through. And he said, Boston. He's like, nobody in the West? And he's like, nah, I'm fine in the West. Like, they had this swagger that was completely unearned, and now they've been punched in the mouth by the Lakers. And they don't know how to respond because they don't know. They've always been the ones swinging and talking the smack, but suddenly they get punched in the mouth. It's like, oh, what do we do now? Milwaukee, they've they've gone through it as a team. They've been the favorites and failed. They've been the favorites and won. They've been down to the point where there were people saying, all right, I think they were down 2-1 or maybe 2-0 in another series. Like they were down 2-0 in the finals. Mm-hmm. And I think there was another series where they were down to the Celtics or something like that. Might have been the same year they won the championship.
Well, it was the year they were down to the Nets.
Was it the Nets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. And people are saying, oh, they're done. And they came back. They've been in this situation before. Doesn't mean they're going to win. I don't know. They lost 3 out of 4 games so far. There's, can't say they're going to win, the next 3 games in a row. But they could. I see them having is that talent, that veteran leadership, the experience, mental toughness that Memphis doesn't seem to have. Plus, I'd say Milwaukee has the best player in their series, and Memphis does not have the best player in their series. Ja Morant should be the best player in that series, play better than a 39-year-old LeBron James, but Dylan Brooks' LeBron stopper. My eyes roll hard enough to roll the studio.
Yeah, they're getting really punished for that.
Yeah, it's not working.
As they should.
And because like LeBron James, when he had the ball their last play, you knew exactly what he was going to. My only question actually was, is he going to pull up for 3 to try to win the game, or is he going to drive to the basket? And I probably should know because he drives to the basket a lot more in those situations. He did. Had Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year, come over to try and block the shot. And LeBron throws up he's been in that situation before. He's hit tough shots to tie the game or game winners. And
high off the glass.
Yeah, high off the glass. A shot that he knew he had to do because he knew Jaren Jackson was coming over. So he had to put it high off the glass. And he made it because he's a pretty dang clutch player. So I'd very much say that the Bucks have the chance to win here. I think the Grizzlies probably force the Game 6, but yeah, the Grizzlies just feel like they're falling apart, whereas the Bucks, it's more like they got punched, but they can punch back. They have something to respond with. The Grizzlies, it's a house of cards.
Can Jimmy Butler really do that again? He's a good player, but can he do that again?
He's only got to do it one more time.
That's true. So I ask you, what do you think? Two number 2 seeds in the NBA on the ropes. Can either one of them survive, or are they both going to be out? 435-339-0321.
Looking for a stable career with great pay, benefits, and a positive work environment? This is Justice Lewis with Homestead Cabinets in Hiram. We produce high-quality, state-of-the-art custom cabinetry and are looking for employees who want to become skilled craftsmen. Work Monday through Friday with weekends off. Wages start at $16 per hour with opportunities for growth as you gain experience. Benefits include daily free breakfast and monthly profit sharing. Homestead is a company that values its employees. They emphasize growth of the individual as well as the company. Go to homesteadcabinet.net/careers and apply today.
Did you know that the ideal time to have your wisdom teeth evaluated is between ages 14 to 16? While some people have room to keep them, most do not, and they can grow in at unnatural angles. This can lead to problems like headaches, jaw pain, gum disease, and infection. This is Dr. Devin Burns at Cache Valley Wisdom Teeth. Is it time to have your wisdom teeth removed? Call our office and mention this ad to receive a free panoramic x-ray and consultation. Our compassionate team at Cache Valley Wisdom Teeth will make your wisdom teeth removal comfortable and easy. Visit CacheValleyWisdomTeeth.com.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain to climb. This is Brent Wallace of Cache Valley Bank. To conquer this mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
And now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Why is it gamesmanship with Caitlin Clark, but we're asking the LSU girls to have sportsmanship? Let's not get caught up in just that moment there. Angel Reese chose to celebrate that way. That's on her. And they won because of their bench. The bench outscored Iowa 30-8. That's the difference here.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Perfect date.
It's a tough one. I'd have to say April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
It's a classic. You know you got to bring that out on April 25th.
Every year. Speaking of light jackets, I'm wearing a light jacket.
Yeah, we had some rain today. A little cool.
It probably is on the cool side, but yeah.
By the way, that's from Miss Congeniality. But best part about that clip is just William Shatner, the look on his face as she's describing the perfect date. Definitely not what he had in mind. It's a good show. So asking the question, you got the number 2 seed in the West and the number 2 seed in the East. Both of them on the ropes. Both of them down 3-1 in their series. Do you have faith in either one of them to come back and advance? Or are they both done? They may be able to extend it a little bit, but it's a foregone conclusion that they're done. Do you have faith in either one of those teams to put it together? I think I'm with you, Jason. I think I probably have more faith in Milwaukee. But seeing Miami's not a bad team. Yes, Tyler Hero's on the sideline, and he's not going to be able to play. But that's still a pretty good team, and I like that coaching staff. It's a good organization, good fan base. Milwaukee's got a tough situation on their hands, but Milwaukee is equally a good team, very balanced team, good fan base, experienced in being in these situations. Memphis, I have very little faith in. I just think they're young. They don't have very many veteran leaders on their team, and those veteran leaders who they do have are on the bench and are hurt or don't see playing time. And I think they've kind of run amok. They're very talented. I think that they can extend their series, but I don't have very much faith in them putting it together because the Lakers have all kinds of momentum right now, and they have remade their roster, and they've got a lot of veteran dudes on their roster now, not old guys, but veteran guys who can play and have been in some tough situations before.
Yeah, they've got talent. They've got LeBron, who's still playing, not his peak basketball, but still pretty dang good. Anthony Davis is, every time he gets touched, it looks like somebody shot him, but he keeps playing. So, he's playing through every time he falls down. It looks like he just tore his Achilles or whatnot.
Can't move his arm after one play.
Yeah, it's
goes
just
to the
like,
locker room and then he comes back and he's fine.
It's just like every time he goes down the court, roll a dice, flip a coin. What's going to hurt this time? But he's played through it. So again, kudos to him. He's obviously having an impact. I know last night or in the last game it wasn't as impactful in terms of points, but
huge block at the end of regulation.
Yeah, but clearly an impact in the entire series as a whole. He's done pretty well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Lakers just seem to have the upper hand there. And yeah, as I was saying, the Memphis just feels like they were a house of cards and are falling to pieces. Their stars are losing their moxie, which was what was driving them before this, us against the world. And now that they're losing, they're having to hide themselves in shame. They won't talk to the media because they're embarrassed because they've been talking all this smack, and then it's come to bite them in the butt, and they're refusing to eat their plate of crow or just grow up,
right,
and move on. LeBron James says a bunch of stupid stuff all the time. He doesn't let it get to him. He doesn't hide in shame. He just moves on. He just deals with it. These guys, they say something wrong, and if it doesn't go their way, then all of a sudden it's like they'll hide for like a week.
Well, and this was a team facing serious issues earlier with John Morant, with the incidents away from basketball, incident in the nightclub, the injuries. So, this is a team that's kind of been hit with a lot of distractions, and hasn't really helped them necessarily. They still have a lot of talent. I don't want to act like this is just a bad team. They earned the number 2 seed for a reason. But they're really being pushed here, and they're getting. Doesn't look like they're able to handle some of the pressure, and just some of the immaturity on the team is showing out, and their inability to handle some of the pressure that's going on in the series.
Yeah, they're a front-running team, and they're getting exposed right now. Now, is there a world in which they can tighten things up and learn very quickly from their mistakes? Yeah, and like you said, they're a talented team. And talented teams, if they figure out things mentally and behind the scenes, they can do anything they want. I just don't have confidence they're going to turn around this quickly. Feels like something you have to process a little bit more. A lot of young guys making dumb mistakes. Can they come back next year having learned from all this, and then maybe they'll get punched in the mouth again, but they'll know how to respond. But for now, I just don't see it.
Well, if they can just play basketball and not create a circus around everything, then it could be interesting. But I don't think they're capable of just setting that to the side.
Yeah, and it just puts more pressure on themselves. The more pressure you put on yourself, the harder it gets. Because then you're playing with you're trying to go too hard. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, because you want to play with an intensity, but if you're playing with an intensity that's driven by, I don't want to be embarrassed by talking smack about this one player, then you're going to end up playing wrong. You're going to be focused on things that don't matter as much, and you're just not going to be playing basketball. As you said, you just got to play basketball. These guys know how to play basketball. They're clearly good at it, but they're playing a game on and off the court,
right?
And it's causing a huge problem.
And we'll get to some texts that are coming in, but just the other thing through this series too is there are a lot of things about LeBron James that I don't like. It's a list. It's a good list. But I do have to admire what he is doing at his age and the way he's doing it. It's amazing how he's able to compete and still be performing at a very high level at his age. It's impressive. Will he still have, if they advance, will he still have enough to keep things going? Will he have to rely on other players? I don't know. I mean, he's an incredible, healthy, strong player, and you can't take that away from him. The proof is in the pudding there for how he performs. But that's something else in this series that's shining through, is just that LeBron James at his age is doing incredible things.
Yeah, it's kind of like him and Tom Brady are probably two of the biggest unicorns in terms of just completely defying conventional wisdom of when you're supposed to tail off in terms of when your performance goes down. Because, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we think of him as, longevity, played forever, set the scoring record. He was down from, he's averaging like 30 points a game in his prime. He was down to like 20, I think, toward the end. Did he have one in the teens where he wasn't the same player, just was not the same player? LeBron, at the same age as, Kareem was going downhill because of age, LeBron is, he's not peak 2013, 2014 LeBron James. But, yeah, he's still really good. He's still 90% of what he was, which is spectacular.
It's impressive.
And so him and Tom Brady being able to play at 90% of their peak is, I don't know if it's going to be the new trend, if players are just going to be able to play this good this long into their career, or maybe they're just going to be two very unique players. Because we're seeing all these other stars having trouble staying healthy into their 30s. I mean, in football, we've kind of seen Aaron Rodgers and kind of Peyton Manning do it, but nobody's doing the same thing that LeBron and Tom Brady are doing in their respective sports as far as how long, not only how long they're playing, but how long they're dominating.
Right, still very, very effective
at
their position, for considering their age. A couple of texts coming through, 5338. Dear Aaron, welcome to the New York Jets. Be careful holding my clipboard. Signed, Zonk Wilson.
Yeah, I know that's been all over social media, articles, Facebook. Just all the stuff about Zach Wilson getting replaced and Aaron Rodgers going. Of course, Jordan Love getting the starting job now in Green Bay. It's a whole fun situation. I love making fun of the Jets and Zach Wilson and all that. It would just be wonderful if Jordan Love just absolutely went off, threw for like 4,500 yards next season, while Zach Wilson sits behind Aaron Rodgers. Having had 2 seasons to prove that he was a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
And very much not doing so.
2947 is Giannis returning for the Bucks. He played last night.
Yeah, had a triple-double.
So, yeah, he's back. And he's expected to play Game 5. 9315, the team to go all the way this year should be the one with Sammy Bucket. He was there when the Bucks made it, so why not again?
Because I about said the Browns. The Cavaliers are also down 3-1,
yes.
I believe.
That's kind of surprising, to be honest. I expected New York would be tough. I did not expect them to be dominating this series. And Cleveland has had several stretches where they just can't score.
Yeah, I know some people were saying that they saw this coming, and I have no reason to disbelieve them because they were paying closer attention to Cleveland than I was. They've been saying that Cleveland's offense has been kind of I think they might have used the word fraud, or like beyond Donovan Mitchell, they don't have much, which is a little surprising. I think maybe you hoped Evan Mobley will be a little more offensively inclined. His development should have led him to be a little better on offense. He's always been a
Darius
defensive.
Garland's
Darius
scorer.
Garland should be a better scorer. But I guess outside of that, I actually can't think of who Cleveland's best scorer would be beyond Donovan Mitchell. Because Evan Mobley, he's not developed. Darius Garland's kind of there, but he's maybe kind of iffy. Jared Allen's not offensively. He's very much an off-ball, doesn't create anything. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense now that I've not been following Cleveland, but these people have. And so you can see it once they say it. It's like, oh, yeah, Cleveland doesn't have any offense besides Mitchell. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. They don't really have anybody else, do they? So that's probably the main issue. And Donovan's he's not having a super good series.
No.
He's really struggling. And it's something that can kind of happen to shorter guards, and this is why you like to have a taller wing to lead you in the playoffs, because guards are very susceptible to, I got to be able to shoot well in a series. And if they don't shoot well in a series, they got nothing else in their bag. Donovan Mitchell can't finish over everybody. He's 6'1". LeBron James was able to finish over his man and another 6'11" guy with like a long wingspan because he's also 6'8". He could go to the rim if he wanted to. Donovan Mitchell's only option on clutch plays or something where he has to force it to happen is a, mid-range jumper or a three-pointer. So I think he's struggled when people are able to focus all on him.
5180, maybe that's why they take time off during the regular season.
Do you text that in when we were talking about the Clippers?
I sent that in just a few minutes ago. I'm trying to think what we were talking about specifically. We may be talking about Giannis? But we were talking earlier, 5180, maybe you missed it, but there's a pattern of some of these players that did take a lot of time off during the regular season, but they're still hurt. Like, they're hurt now. They're not contributing for their teams.
Yeah,
so that it really doesn't seem to be bearing fruit that if you do a lot of load management during the season that you'll be healthy and good to go for the playoffs.
Yeah, we're in the era of keep everyone healthy for the playoffs, and maybe I've just not been paying attention before, but are we just not having like every team have a star miss a game in the playoffs? Like, every single team feels like they've had a star player miss the playoffs. Some of them because of suspensions, but others because they break a finger or they sprain a knee or they do this or they tried to jump over somebody and fell down. And, John Morant, I don't think he missed a game, though, did he? Or no, he did. He missed like game 3 or game 2 or something like that.
Yeah, because he hurt his wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he bent his finger backward.
2305, Lowry Markkinen would have been a good fit in Cleveland. Oh, that's right. He's in Utah.
Yeah, he would have.
He
would have
helped
been,
them right now.
He would certainly help them right now. Donovan would be able to play off of Markkinen, but of course they couldn't have both because they had to trade Markkinen to get Mitchell. But yeah, we kind of thought that the Cavaliers would be better than they are, and they're just not. They're a 4 seed. Mind you, they have the Bucks, Celtics, and 76ers, probably 3 of the top 4 teams in the league right there. So it's not like Cleveland, there's a bit of a cap on what seed they can be. But the fact they're now losing to the Knicks, Donovan Mitchell can't get away from Jalen Brunson apparently. I'm sure the Knicks are having a field day because they're beating, the team with Donovan Mitchell. Feeling like maybe they're vindicated in not trading for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if being the 5 seed really vindicates you from not trading, but of course, there's no skin off of Utah's back.
Yes,
they're 1,000% fine with what they got out of their 2 trades. They got plenty.
2305. If Cleveland would have thought Markkinen would have turned into what he is, would they have included him in the trade?
Clearly, they would have tried to avoid that. They would have put like Isaac Okoro in the trade or something like that, some other young player, if they'd have thought they could develop him like that. But part of it with Markkinen is that maybe they felt like he clashed with Mobley and Jared Allen. Although Markkinen basically did the same thing in Utah, where he was playing next to Jared Vanderbilt, Kelly Olynyk, Walker Kessler. Played with Kessler and Olynyk at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe they were hesitant to have 3 7-footers, but Utah didn't seem to have that problem. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. Maybe I don't know how much Cleveland really regrets trading for Mitchell. Maybe they are right now, where they're not looking like they're going to make it past the first round. But we'll see. This is one of those where it's always interesting to, if you trade for the star, is it really worth it? There's very few teams when they traded for the star that they actually do find it worth it. I think Toronto Raptors is about the only one I can think of who really, like the fact that they traded for the star player. Like, is there another instance?
In the NBA, it's kind of hard to think of one.
Like, did the Heat technically trade for, Chris Bosh or something?
Well, they kind of came together because LeBron was going there as a free agent.
Yeah, but that's like a
They already
situation.
had Dwayne.
I can't remember how exactly they acquired Chris Bosh. I can't remember if he was a free agent.
If he came
or
as
if
a free agent, if they traded. That's a good question. I don't.
But
remember.
that maybe if that's how that went down. But Paul George, Kawhi again, Paul George again. Going from OKC and Toronto to LA and all that. Kyrie Irving 3 times. James Harden twice. We'll see with the 76ers. They still got Harden and are looking pretty good this year. But the Nets with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, the Suns with Kevin Durant. How many times are we going to do the song and dance and it's not working for somebody?
Well, that will be interesting to see with Phoenix this year, right? If they're up pretty healthy over the Clippers now, but what do they look like deeper into the playoffs? Will Kevin Durant really prove to be the difference maker for them and get them back to the NBA Finals or not? I got to take a time out. More texts coming through. We'll get to those. If you want to weigh in, love to hear from you. 435-339-0321.
We all need a reason to celebrate warm weather, so come celebrate Cinco de Mayo at the Cache County Fairgrounds, Friday, May 5th. Mariachi bands, Zumba, traditional Mexican folk dancers and singers will all have you dancing to their rhythm into the evening. And several food trucks are serving up authentic Mexican treats to satisfy your appetite. Bring the whole family. There's something for all ages. This year's celebration is presented by Presto Products in Lewiston. Apply today for a career that can improve your life at Presto Products. DD Auto and Salvage. They pay the best price on junk vehicles and scrap metal. DD Auto and Salvage. Members First Credit Union. Large enough to provide the service you need, yet small enough to provide the service you deserve. Members First Credit Union invites you to join us at the Cache County Fairgrounds and experience the vibrant colors, sounds, and tastes of Mexico at this year's Cinco de Mayo celebration. Friday, May 5th at the Cache County Fairgrounds.
A diamond is forever and is perfect to represent your love. For those special occasions, give her a natural, one-of-a-kind diamond as unique as she is. Our exclusive brand, Neat and Brilliant Diamonds, is both beautiful and affordable with quarter-carat diamonds starting at $499. We have hundreds of sparkling diamonds at our integrity price guarantee with financing available. An investment for generations to come, Monday through Saturday 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is locally owned and operated inside the beautiful new Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. Expect the most cutting-edge techniques, qualified doctors, and friendly staff to ensure the highest quality patient care. The ENT providers have extensive training to properly treat ear, nose, and throat conditions for adults and children. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat serves all of northern Utah and southern Idaho, accepting most insurance products including SelectMed. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for appointments and details. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, located in North Logan and Providence.
Spring is here, which means more driving and future vacations. Make sure you don't forget your car as you move about your busy life. This is Dustin with Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan. More driving means more wear and tear for your vehicle. Come in to Valvoline Instant Oil Change to get it serviced. We'll have you in and out quickly, making sure your ride is ready for whatever life brings you. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main in Logan, across from Angie's.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, and you. Had several of your texts coming through, 435-339-0321. 2305. I think both trades worked out great with the Jazz, even just for the players they got, let alone the draft. And then a follow-up, how many draft picks did we get for those two superstars?
I can't remember. It was like at least 3 for both and like 2 pick swaps each. There might have been I think Minnesota might have given up 4 draft picks. And I think Cleveland might have given up 3 draft picks and 2 pick swaps. And then Minnesota also gave up 2 pick swaps. I think. Give or take a first-round pick in there somewhere. And it's somewhere around 7 or 8 first-round draft picks and 4 pick swaps.
And then you had personnel involved.
Yeah, then you got all the...
Jared Vanderbilt... Malik Beasley, who then they flipped.
Yeah.
So the thing is, more future capital.
You traded an all-star Donovan Mitchell, scoring 25 points per game. You're like 25 years old for like another, like maybe 6 months older, 1 year older Lauri Markkanen, who just became an all-star, 25, 26 points a game. Traded Rudy Gobert, all-time rim protector, for another guy who's probably gonna maybe be a defensive player of the year candidate down the road as a rim protector, who may end up also being able to shoot threes in 2 or 3 years at an NBA level. So, like, right there, you're almost already getting a good return. And then you add the draft picks on top of that. And all the other...
Ochai Agbaji came in that deal, too.
Yeah, and so Agbaji, you get another guy who can be... he could probably start down the line on a good team. He started on this year's team late, largely because everyone else got benched. But he could be a decent starter down the line, 3-and-D guy. So already, just on like those 3 incoming players, you got a pretty good deal. Not equal value, but not a bad deal for trading a star. It's really hard to find equal value when trading away a star.
Yeah.
But they dang near got it out of 3 guys, trading 2 all-stars away. And they got all the picks in the world.
Right.
And the Timberwolves may end up being a lottery team in a few years. Because they're borderline lottery this year, and they had Gobert still in his prime, kind of on his way out. And some other guys, like if they fall apart in a year or two, then you've got their picks for a while.
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do about it.
Big windfall for the Jazz.
So it'll be interesting. In Cleveland, they're less likely to collapse, but I mean, if Donovan leaves, if he goes somewhere else, decides he doesn't want to live in Cleveland, then they could fall apart as well. and you'll have a few years of their picks when they've collapsed. You can use those picks however you want. Trade them, use them, develop guys. There's a lot of ways in which this can go right. You're in about as ideal a situation as you want. Now, even in this ideal situation, the odds that the Jazz managed to build a championship roster are still pretty low. Like, OKC was in this super, valuable position. They're barely getting into the playoffs years into the process.
Right. Yeah, they made it to the play-in game, the play-in tournament. They didn't advance, but they still have a young roster, and they still have future picks. But they're developing some guys, but you're right. They are a ways away still from having a roster that's good enough, deep enough to make a legitimate run in the playoffs.
Yeah. So we'll see how things go. I mean, for both Utah and OKC, you've got to make a lot of steps. I've said before, it's super easy to build a team that can get into the playoffs, at least relative, I know the Kings wouldn't say it's super easy to build a team to get into the playoffs, but if you have one lucky move, you can get into the playoffs. It's so much harder to build a championship contender. It is so incredibly difficult, and it requires, a lot of smarts and a heck of a lot of luck.
That's true. Another quick timeout here in the Full Court Press. More of your thoughts coming in. Also, a little bit later on, we'll get into the stat that blew our minds, our player of the week. An interesting list put together on ESPN. It's titled, "We Picked Spring Portal Sleepers, 8 transfers who could become household names in 2023. And guess who they have as their poster boy on their photo for that? We'll reveal that coming up on the Full Court Press.
This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. We have been a locally owned and operated family business since 1970. Daryl's offers you the most experienced service team in northern Utah and southern Idaho. Our service, sales, parts, and warranty departments enable us to be your one-stop appliance shop. We promise to give you the best quality service to get you and your appliance up and running quickly. Our huge parts department has the right part when you need it. Remember, shop local for the best-selling appliances and service in the business. Daryl's west on Airport Road.
Spring will get here, and when it does, those old rusted-out vehicles need to be moved. Call DD Auto and Salvage and let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Bull Moose RV had an amazing grand opening recently. Hundreds stopped by to see their new facility, and they thank you. Bull Moose RV wants to continue the spring sale. Stop by and check out their fifth wheel, motorhome, and bumper pool inventory. Not only do they sell, but they'll buy your RV from you. Plus, they'll service your unit so you're ready to go for Memorial Day. Find them at 1850 North, 600 West, or online at bullmooserv.com.
Don't get caught without power to your home or business. This is Tyler with Golden Spike Electric. We offer Generac backup generators to keep your home or business warm, avoiding frozen pipes, loss of valuable food, or even a flooded basement. Golden Spike Electric is certified and factory trained, so you know it will be installed right and properly maintained. Contact Golden Spike Electric so you'll never be without power again. Online at gsegenerators.com. We also service other brands, Golden Spike Electric and Generac. Power you can count on.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Always happy to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321. 2305 texting in. I wish we could have kept Vanderbilt. I've liked him. He was aggressive at all times he was on the court. Yeah, he was. The problem that he ran into was being too aggressive and found himself in foul trouble. I think he got better as the season went on a little bit and playing a little bit more in control. But he's a good defender. A decent defender, a good rebounder. He's a good activity guy, and that can be infectious for other players on the court.
Yeah, he's the hustle utility guy, the guy that averages 9 points and 6 rebounds, plays under the radar defense. He's not a spectacular rim protector or perimeter defender, but he's a little bit of both, and he provides that versatility and the energy as well that improves his defense beyond maybe what his skill set would indicate or his athletic ability would indicate. So he's good as a role player, but in the end, he's not one who is worth prioritizing keeping. Sure, the Jazz would have liked to hold on to him. He's good in certain lineups, good in certain situations. I think by the end, he didn't work as well in Utah based on Utah's other personnel. He's working pretty well in LA based on what they've got. You play along Anthony Davis and LeBron James. He fits in pretty decently there.
Right.
And I think by the end of the year, he wouldn't have fit in well playing next to Markkanen and Olynyk and Kessler. Just wouldn't have worked very well. And in trying to fit them all together in different lineups and whatnot. So in the end, I think we all liked Vanderbilt. But he, as I said, he's not somebody that was worth prioritizing and making sacrifices over keeping. It's just he's not that good of a player.
Coming up next hour, we'll get into the stat that blew our minds. We'll hand out our player of the week. Love to get your recommendations or nominations on those as well. 435-339-0321.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After 3 years of off-season uncertainty, Aaron Rodgers was officially dealt to the Jets yesterday. The trade makes New York an instant contender in the AFC, but you can't ignore what Green Bay got in return. The Packers remain stubborn with Rodgers and the Jets, and for good reason. Green Bay moved up 2 spots in the first round of this year's draft, collected the 42nd pick overall, and landed a 2024 first-round pick if Rodgers manages to play more than 65% of the snaps for the Jets. If everything works out in New York, that's a nice return for a 39-year-old who recently considered retirement. But the deal could get even sweeter for Green Bay. Just look at how the Seahawks made out on the Russell Wilson deal. The team managed to acquire the Broncos' 2023 first-round pick, and even with a talented roster, that pick is now the number 5 selection overall. So although this process may have been a headache, it's hard to argue the end result for both teams. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise